Howdy, my name is Joel Fowler. I'm a sophomore civil engineering major from Texas A&M University, class of 2021. Today I would like to talk about the effects of President Trump's metal tariffs that he's placed on other countries importing into the United States. First, we should look at a little bit of background on the tariffs. The first thing you need to ask is what it is. Well, it's a 10% tariff on aluminum and a 25% tariff on steel being imported into the United States, placed on countries including our allies, Canada, Mexico, and our trade partner, China. Well, then you should also wonder why this is. Well, President Trump has decided he would like to alleviate the $568 billion trade deficit that the United States currently possesses. And a lot of people tend to wonder, are these tariffs legal? Well, yes, according to the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, the president has the legal right to increase tariffs placed on other countries. Now, a lot of people tend to also wonder if he has any congressional or otherwise support when he was going forward with these tariffs. Well, not really. Many Republicans in Congress are fuming, according to Forbes, including Kevin Brady, the representative from Texas. Not only that, 40 groups, including Walmart, Google, and Costco, oppose these tariffs as it affects their industry directly. And then we also need to worry about the retaliatory tariffs that are being placed on the United States from other countries. Well, first off, Mexico has tariffed lamps, pork, fruit, cheese, and steel. Not only that, Canada has placed $12.8 billion worth of tariffs on the United States. And Europe is placing a 25% tariffs on motorcycles, denim, cigarettes, peanut butter, whiskey, orange juice, and cranberry juice. Now, while all these tariffs seem incredibly random, they actually are not. They're targeted at base states of the Republican Party and Trump, including Wisconsin and Kentucky, home of the House Speaker Paul Ryan and Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Now, furthermore, we need to look at the general negative effects that these tariffs have caused. Now, first off, they've caused a loss of employment, as small companies especially can no longer afford to either produce or upkeep their company due to the rise in cost in steel and aluminum. Also, there's an increased cost of repairs as these companies are having a harder time, including to repair warehouses, trucks, whatever else, any of the many things that require steel and aluminum. And also, there's increased cost of raw materials. Things such as aluminum cans have a price increase due to these tariffs. Furthermore, these costs are being moved on to you as aluminum and steel has raised the prices of things such as cans, cars, so on and so forth, etc. That whatever is made out of that will now cost more to the consumer. Now we need to look at the industries that are being affected by these tariffs. So we have steel and aluminum. A third of steel is imported. And while the steel industry applauds these tariffs because now they are able to sell more steel within the United States and less can be imported, the 90% of aluminum is being imported from the outside, and the aluminum industry is actually saying that we cannot keep up with the demand as there's just not enough raw materials in the United States to keep up with these high demands. It also affects the auto and aerospace industries. 2.5 million jobs depend on the steel and aluminum imports to keep these industries running. General Motors immediately saw a price drop in their shares immediately after this news was announced. And the vice president of aerospace industries believes that they can no longer be competitive in the international community with these price raises in aluminum and steel. Furthermore, manufacturing and construction, an industry that holds 17 million jobs, does not believe that they can manufacture at the same volume as before, which will affect prices and surely job losses. Now, this has a direct effect on employment. Now, before the tariffs, the deflated price on aluminum and steel as the cheaper metal was being imported from outside the United States saw an effect on employment. It was actually the steel industry was already on the way down before these tariffs were put in place and people were losing their jobs for it. However, after the tariffs were placed, Forbes believes that 10 times as many jobs will be lost in subsequent industries, like I said before, such as aerospace, automotive, and any other industry that requires aluminum and steel. A huge effect it also has is on the energy industry. A couple figures here. Solar energy requires 1,600 tons of steel per megawatt, while wind requires 400 per megawatt. Gas requires 4 tons, and nuclear energy only requires 40 tons per megawatt. Also, this has an ironic effect on red state growth of the energy industry, because most of this energy growth is inside of red states. And so President Trump's base states are being affected as energy production cannot be nearly as efficient. There are, however, positive outcomes for these tariffs that also need to be addressed. There will now be more domestic spending, as we can no longer afford to import from outside. We will be forced to buy from within the United States, which could improve the steel industry, which could raise jobs in that industry, which could also increase GDP in the United States and overall be beneficial to the economy. It can also revive the steel industry, which was a dying industry, just like the coal industry, which was made very plain by President Trump to be a priority of his. We do have to keep in mind, though, that the revival of the steel industry should not be a priority, because other countries have the comparative advantage, meaning that they can produce steel and aluminum better than we can, and we should focus on things that we have the comparative advantage on, such as the auto industry, aerospace industry, things that don't require the raw materials but the technology and personnel that the United States has. It also, according to Forbes, will force innovation. Ryan Neal, the CEO of Blueprint, believes that similar to the creation of synthetic rubber in the 40s when oil was in low supply, that industries will have to find an alternative to steel and aluminum that may allow for their industries to run more efficiently and perhaps even better for the environment. So in conclusion, the tariffs are bad for consumers, as there's a price hike in anything that requires steel and aluminum. It's bad for American industries because we can no longer afford to import aluminum and steel and produce the goods that we're so good at producing. It may, however, revive the steel industry and allow those steel jobs to grow and help grow that industry. And it may also increase domestication and innovation, as we'll be forced to buy within the United States and be more efficient with our usage of aluminum and steel. And so with this mixture, in my opinion, I believe that these tariffs are a detriment to the United States. However, with these conclusions, you can make your own and decide whether or not that these tariffs are something that should remain in place or should be removed after the November midterms. At this point, I would like to ask if there's any questions, and if there are not, I would just like to show my sources and wish everyone a great day. Thank you.